Okay, we're here for the fourth of our Lally virtual open days. We did a series of them early in the summer and now coming into the winter time. We're here with the Simpson family outside Lisburn from Damm holsteins. We're going to get a wee bit of an introduction here from David in terms of what they're doing and how they're doing it, and we'll delve into lots of different aspects of the farm. So,
I've running milking partner and robot here for the 200 cows calving the year round. Currently have 60 cows in the robot and 120 over in the milking partner, and sort of juggling them about a bit, but we're happy enough with the robot at the minute. 60 on her at the minute, doing just over 40 litres and been averaging that the year round now, just doing the figures there. Fairly happy.
We've got something like 860,000 odd litres on the one robot.
Yeah, they're sort of always averaging in around between 160 and 180 days calved on the robot, like trying to keep a mixture of fresh cows and staler cows in the robot too, just for the main reason of trying to maximise the amount of cows that we get on. We're still running the milking harder, but it seems to be working well at the moment.
So, how many is here running the farm, or many working on the farm?
There's me and Dad here full time, with young Tom there. Knocks about, he's sort of at Greenmine a couple of days a week, and then he'll be here the rest of the time, sort of working with me. But, me and him will do most of the milking, and Dad doing everything else. My brother will be here in the mornings, helps out with the dad feeding before he goes to his other work. So, it's mainly just the three of us.
So that's quite a lot of work then. Do you do your own field work, and do you get a lot of contractors in that help you?
We try and do most of ourselves. We grew a lot of cereal as well. We do about 150 acres arable as well, about 50 acres of maize as well. So.
And are you feeding that, or are you, what are you doing?
Cereals, we grow wheat, oats and barley. The oats all go to steady cooked whites and Tandragee for porridge. The wheat and barley, we either sell one or the other depending on what price it's making when it's coming off the combine, but we would dry all our own grain, store it, sell a bit, and feed the cows during the winter with the dried stuff. We would roll it just once a month, feed it. Get contractors in to do the arable side of things, sort of cutting up it. They would do all the nice stuff like spraying,
Field work,
blaring and all that crap.
So you're busy then? Then you've got the 50 acres of maize there, so what are they actually getting on the feed? What's your feeding strategy here for the robot?
Yeah, well, we've literally only just started feeding this. We only cut it maybe 2 weeks ago. Just started feeding it straight away kind of thing. This current batch, we've started them on 13 kilos in here, and over in the parlour they're in 10 kilos. That's getting mixed with fourth cut in here at the moment. Just inside 2 weeks. I'd like to give it longer in the pit, maybe a month, but just glad to get it back in the pit to start feeding. In here they're getting 6 kilos of blend and 2 kilos of wheat on top of the maize and fourth cut. It's topped up in the parlour for feeding, or in the robot. Sorry for feeding.
So, you are fairly renowned in the breeding circles and showing circles, and we don't want you to give away too many trade secrets here, but can you maybe outline where you're coming from on breeding and where you hope to go to, and also in particular what type of cow suits the robots the best?
Yeah, we're all pedigree holstein here, have been since we started back up. 3 or 4 pedigree jerseys running about there too, but most predominantly holstein. We would tend to have bigger cows than most men, I suppose. But we can handle them and nicer to look at, I suppose. And if you can get the intakes into those big cows, that seem to pump the litres out. It's showing that in the robot. With all the comfort they want in here with the sand beds, but breeding wise, we select bulls predominantly on type mainly. Need to have good udders, good legs and feet to get to the robot and get about and get to the feed pen obviously. like cows with good strong chest width as well. So yeah, mixture of milk bulls and height bulls, and just I think you can bounce one off the other, one off each other. It works really well. Like if you can't like big cow, maybe not just as milky and not.
What's the sort of features or things you're looking for cows that are going on the road? Which ones do you choose from the herd, or what's the critical things on the breeding side?
Everybody asks me that, how do you pick who stays in the powder and who comes to the robot? But, always try and keep our best cows breeding wise, I suppose, over here, but you also have to suit the robot. But most of our cows, I would say, would suit the robot. There's only maybe a handful over in the milking powder, definitely wouldn't, but we try to pick cows with positive teat length and good teat spacing, I suppose, and quick milking cows is a main thing for in here, because we're trying to maximise one robot, so kind of needs to be a key feature, you know, get as many out there as we can. Like, all the better pedigree cows are in here on the sand, because it's just comfier for them, don't like banged up hocks and things like that in cows, and try and keep all the best cows in this shed. It's better shed for them. Like, but,
Aye, so milk speed and teat placement then would be teat length you mentioned as well. Is there a bit of an association there between teat length and speed? Is that something?
I suppose you could argue that. We do have short teated cows in here, like, and they do milk out quick, I suppose, but I suppose teat length, it's easier for the lasers to find, things like that, especially when they're fresh calf. But yeah, we'll just try and include that in our breeding program, you know, quicker milking cows and positive teat length and good others, like, you know. Those swap bulls here and there, like, and you know, bounce one off it.
Yes, you're not going extreme one way or you're
If
not
you have a really
balanced.
extreme cow, you could pull her down a bit using different type bulls, like, you know. So.
Yeah. But I see you're going for more balanced
More
cow.
balanced cows the key here, like, you know.
Yeah.
You don't want big extreme tall cows with no ability to get about or milk, or wee narrow chests on them, like, so.
Yeah. Well, maybe explaining what the routine would be here in the morning and evening times in around the robot room. What would you do? How long would it take?
There would always be somebody, either me or Tom, in before we would go to the milking parlour in the morning at 5. We would just nip in, check there's no cows late or there's nothing wrong or everything's working alright, and then we would go and milk in the parlour, and then after milking we would come straight back over here. First thing we'd do, change filter, glycerine, check there's no mates again, and just wash down around here and clean the area, I suppose.
In around the shade then, what do you do in here?
Yeah, so either Tom or me will be in doing here in the filter, and one of us will maybe be out raking the sand beds or scraping the ends off as well. We can do a tank, I suppose, round the front of here because of the sand bed, so we've always this wee area just to scrape off every morning. But in a couple of minutes does that, like, so one of us will be in here, one of us out there, and usually 10 or 15 minutes we'll have everything done in here, like, so.
So 2 people can do this shade within 15-20 minutes sort of thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about the evening time? Is it the same routine in the evening time?
Evening time, I suppose, before we would go and feed calves or start milking, we always come to the robot shed, and it's just exact same again. Change the filter, check the bleed holes, do the glycerine, scrape the ends off and wash down around her. We get washed down twice a day, just everything around here. So just try and keep everything clean, like.
And so then feeding is your only other routine with this shade, really, is it?
Yeah, that feeding, and we're scanning with the vet with the headlocks in there, and we just headlock everything in the morning once the vet fed, and nip down, scan them, and
I suppose there are a couple of tasks, maybe your AIM, you do it yourselves, or
yeah, all in-house AN. I would do the most of it. Tom's just recently got his AI course, and we've let him loose with a few cows, and he's getting them in calves. So we're trying to do it all ourselves, and it's working alright. But heat detection in here, obviously, and then heat detection up in the parlour as well. So.
Okay. And how are you finding that working here? I mean, if a cow's in heat, do you separate her into the separation area, or do you keep her out there, or?
It's set out. Usually she goes.
Yeah, so the robot's set up that if there's a cow above a certain level for heat detection, separated wee separation area behind the robot here, and it just puts her straight out into here.
So you're automatically separating on a certain threshold of reproduction score. So is that, what is it, 50% or something, or?
Yeah, I think, well, with it set up that anything for anything in heat at all is out into there, and anything above a sickness score, I think is at 30, is pulled out into this wee area as well. And it means like we come through here in the morning, we're always, that's what we first see. Like,
everything's in your separation bin. Some people are a little afraid of that, and that maybe some false positives, and then you might say cow's in heat if she's been chased around by an R1, and then she's going to be in there and she's not in heat. What's your thought on that?
Well, we're in here twice a day anyway, so like if it's not the end of the world if there's another cow in there, I suppose, just to let her back out. Like, but yeah, we just like it's where we come through in the morning to get to the robot, so they're there and you see them, like, you know.
Yeah, so you're potential cows from the separation area. So.
Yeah. If you're not separating those cows, you have to go looking for them. So
yeah, I think so. What else do you like in particular about the robot? What features have you seen as the most useful?
Well, the thing that's impressed me the most is the amount of milk it can drag out of cows and heifers. Like, you know, even if you were 3 times a day, we've been 3 times a day in the parlour before. Like, you know, the robot's going to pull more milk again out of them. Like, which really impressed us this year. Like, so.
And have you had any comparisons of where they were to what they're doing now, or what sort of level of increase that you sure are getting?
Yes, we would do monthly figures with Lyle Hamilton Farmgate Nutrition, and he'd been here every month, and we sit down. Well, we would first walk around the yard and look at the rations and check all the cows, just go through everything, and then in the house we'd be doing figures with them, and we would be taking all our monthly figures, milk yields and whatnot, and doing a month-on-month comparison, you know. I suppose we're a year past in June now, the robot's been in, like, and it's fairly obvious to see the cows lifting them milk, like, and it's probably better management because of the robot too, like, mainly that it's pulling more milk out of the cows, like, and it's probably the most impressive thing.
Well, here with Morris Wiley from our farm management support team, one of 3 members. Morris, can you explain to us what is FMS and what do you do?
As Tommy has said, there's 3 members. There's Neil, who has 7 years experience at it. Neil's also a dairy farmer, so it's vital hand-on experience Neil has. There's Jacob, and there's myself, and between Jacob and me, I think we're roughly 2 years or thereabouts on FMS. Basically, if you buy a Lely robot, you get FMS in the background, which means you can ring us. We'll help you with issues like mastitis, TBC issues, could be feet, could be feed, reports. There's a lot goes on that you maybe think, who to ask about that? Ring FMS. If we don't know, we'll always find you the person that does know and get you the help you need.
How did you help here at the start, Morris? What do you do, and how do you get up to the level you're up to in terms of the output of hitting, you know, particularly hitting 40 litres with 60 cows in a robot at 170 odd days of milk is very good going. But what was needed? What specific help was needed to get there from farm management support?
Well, I suppose from the perspective, David would agree with this. Farm management support is basically, you know, what we done was we pointed in the right direction. We got the understanding of what milk access is, where cows need, who needs the milk, when they need the milk, and keep pushing at it to get the access within the robot in free time to let fresh calves, cows milk more regular. Wouldn't that be right, David?
Just tweaking of the robot more than anything.
And that's what we achieved. But the yield David's producing here on the day on the robot is probably in our top within our Lely Centre, and it's down to David really, and George, I suppose a wee bit with Tom, that on feeding, on breeding, and basically them being meticulous, I suppose, at everything you do.
Right.
With robotics.
Right.
No, just do a good job and just listen. They'll ring and they'll ask X, Y, Z, whatever it may be. It might be the app's not working. It might be how do I create a report for this or how do I create a report for that. So that's what we have done here. And I suppose we're on hand in any farm, and anybody needs help, wants a hand, needs advice, we're there to do it.
It was in the early days before we had the robot in, you were in and sort of point us in the right direction.
So we're here out in the shade, and obviously there's quite a number of unique features here on the shade. Maybe you want to outline the ideas or where they came from and what's the key things you see here, because obviously there's great light and great air, but maybe just explain how you are achieving that.
Yeah, I suppose when the cow numbers were climbing and the powder house wasn't capable of holding the cow numbers, we had to look about a new shed. That's where the robot idea came from. When we decided we were going robotic, we kind of designed the shed around the cow, well, the cow and the monsters, but for breeding good cows, we're trying to breed good cows. We want them to be maximised, and I thought I went over to England to look at cows and robots on sand bedding, and I was always interested in, and they were working well over there and they were getting a lot of milk out of cows, and we came home and looked about a layout for a sand bed shed, and that's what we came up with. But yeah, the cows are comfy in them, and we're breeding good cows, so we want them to be well looked about, and yeah, that's where.
Yeah, you can see obviously good cubicle occupancy and nice deep sand beds. Well, what about the sand? Were you getting that, or?
We started off when we first. It was sort of a learning curve for us when we started this here. The first sand came from down in Kilkeel from the beach, and came up in lorries. We just started using it, but we found it was quite coarse for scrapers and concrete and cow's feet and stuff, and we changed to sand from the lock. It's a lot softer, if that makes sense, and less abrasive. The cows seem to like it, and it works well. Like, and we're getting good laying times with the cows, and I think that's down to why they are yielding so well.
How often do you change them or top them up or strip them down, or what's your routine with them?
We would suppose be in every 10 days with sand in the film. Every week to 10 days we try and get in. We cows on one side of the house, put them to the other, top them up, and then chase the cows around the other side and do the other side with the bedder. Once a week or every 10 days we also try to get the cows foot baths, so foot bath over beside the milking parlour, and we literally run all the cows through the foot baths, hold them there while the top of the sand beds up, and then let them back in, and they're out all of maybe 15 to 20 minutes, and they're back into the house again. So, yeah, cows like it. And I suppose with slats and cubicle mats in our other shed, like, and this is just a learning curve coming into this, but we like it and I wouldn't be scared to do it again. Like.
What about, is there any downsides with it? What about the likes of pumps for pumping the slurry and stuff like that? How do you handle?
Well, it's all solid floors here, and everything gets took to a slatted lagoon tank at the end there. Once a year we try and clean it out. It all gets spread on the ground for growing maize, so that's the way that works. It is, I suppose, the downside is maybe a more wear factor on the ropes and the pulleys for the scrapers. As far as slurry equipment goes, the contractor hasn't been complaining too much, like, so he's happy enough. We try and not mix at it too much. If the sand seems to settle to the bottom of the tank, and we can suck the slurry off it and then clean her out once a year with dung spray.
Yorkshire boarding on here, so we don't see too much of this in there. So what do you think? How is that working?
Yeah, well, that shed lay open when it was getting built, and we were trying to decide what we were going to do with it. We priced up an automated curtain and things, and it was just quite colossal money that was going to cost, and we were trying to think of an alternative, and went and looked at a couple of sheds that had that Yorkshire boarding, and they had really good air in the sheds. We just decided to go with it. To be honest, it's working really well. There's always a nice air in this shed. Yeah, it was a cheaper alternative, and it's as good as, I think.
You have 6-inch boards on the outside and a 2-inch gap,
Yeah.
and then on the inside it looks like what is it?
More like
Maybe 4 and 4-inch
Yeah.
essentially. So you find that keeps plenty of airflow, but keeps the rain out. Yeah.
Yeah, like this shed's up on top of a hill here, and we're always bothered by the weather at the back end of the shed, like, and touch wood, the rain hits that sideways, there's very little comes through into the shed, like. You know, we thought that might have been an issue, but it seems to be okay.
It's really fresh, refreshing and shade. And then in terms of the light, you have a light ridge here, which is I've seen before.
Yeah, so in our other shed, it was in a fairly closed environment, and we wanted to try and, if we were building a new shed, get more air into it. And these light ridges seemed to be pretty popular, so we ended up going with that. The clear sheet itself is the special product, reflects the warm side of the shed, but lets the light in. You know, keeps heat guard, I think it's called, and it seems to reflect the heat out and let the light in. It's working really well. I think some of the newer sheds are actually doing all the sheds with that, like. But yeah, we didn't know what we needed. Something brave and strong up there. We thought the normal clear lights maybe wouldn't stick it, and that was more heavy duty kind of stuff. So that was why we went with that one. But yeah, I'm happy enough.
And then you have knocking hedges, the whole length of the shade here.
Yeah, again, we wanted to be able to do everything in this shed, and there's no crush over here, and we needed to be able to headlock cows and do things like AI and scan and test and things like that. So we needed to be able to do that, and it works well. Like if we need to do anything, we're dead feeding here in the morning, we can just flip them all over and headlock everything. So it works well.
So just as you say, everything has been designed here for comfort for the cow, but also convenience for the child as well, that it's quick and easy to manage.
Yep, that was the thing. You're still looking in the power room, there's still work to do, so you want everything to be as simple as possible over here. So no, we could have gone with just a normal feed, real cheap alternative, but then we were left with the headache of how do you catch cows for AN or testing or anything. That was the idea, and maybe a bit more expensive at the time.
What would you think how's it been basically your Lally journey from thinking about robots to now milking robots?
Well, I suppose thinking about robots, we tinkered about it for years and talked about it for years, and certainly in David's behalf, the sort of the high yielding cows, and really wanted to give something a try. 3 times a day milking was difficult labour wise for us, and the fact of a robot going, 24/7. It's been an amazing journey. It surprised me how it all happened at the start. Those good milking cows, a good milking cow wants to milk, and they certainly come forth to the robot well. I'm sure David will agree with that there. If you have a cow feeding well, keep them well in their feed, they certainly come to the robot and do very well. Really pleased.
So what has been the nicest surprise, or what has been the what were you dreading first of all? What was what was the
Start up now.
Morris is pointing, dreading Morris.
Right, okay, yeah. Well, we can understand that,
I suppose training, when you the first day when you start, training, it's much simpler than I thought it was going to be. And once you break their habit in a cow of twice a day milking, that you can milk any time, it really, once they start, they really went well on it. I suppose in some cases you do have cows that won't train, but we were very fortunate now that most cows all adapted to the robot very, very well.
So how long would it have taken then to get them trained up?
On startup, I suppose the first 2 weeks really had to work at it. You didn't get much sleep, but after that, things, those cows that wanted to milk really took off, and suppose within the month, like everything was starting to take shape. Like,
And over the first year, you know, it's a learning process over the first year. You know, you're learning and the cows are learning, and
you're still milking in the powder as well, so you're trying to juggle the two at the start. It wasn't that I didn't get much sleep, like, but once, you know, after the 2 weeks, it was dead on. Like, you got into the system, it worked well.
And you mentioned from 1 year to the last. I mean, looking at the figures, you have gone from probably just below 2,000 as an average per day up to, like, you know, there's times you're averaging 2,500. I think even for the full year, it's at something like 2,003, nearly 2,400 litres out of the one robot on a consistent basis, which is a very good achievement. But what have you seen? Is it just the learning curve from the first year and the second year, or what do you put that down to?
Good feed's key, like, you know.
yes, with good maize last year and good silage, and they both complemented each other very well. And
Feed and just being efficient.
attention to detail, we'd be there both morning and night, wash rounder, check levels, check your late lists. Some days there's none, some days you have 3 or 4 maybe, but you know, just keeping an eye on that twice a day.
Yeah. So on average, like, how many cows would you pick up in a day, or?
So there's 60 cows on her there at the minute, like, and that's her, she's pretty much on her limit there, like, at the minute it'd be always 1/2, like, you know, it's usually a reason for that, like, there's either a cow bulling or something, you know, fresh calf cow just getting in, like, we put a couple of fresher cows onto the robot there this week, and they're just trying to get their slot, you know, and it's maybe upsetting a couple of other cows till they get their slots sorted out. Once they get a week of them,
And the day of a service or something, you find there's always more lates about. You need to keep an eye on them that they don't run too long till they get into their cycle again. If she's been switched off for 2 or 3 hours, you know.
The biggest problem is with having 60 on her. If you turn that robot off to do anything at all, you're going to have lates. Like,
Yeah.
if there's anything if happens at all.
When you get a call 3 times a year from our service department, you sort of have a sore head then the next day for.
Yes, when you're
3
on the
days.
limit like that, everything needs to run smooth.
You're down to
Doesn't-
something like, was it 6 or 7% free time or something? Just
We could probably give ourselves less hassle if we took 1 or 2 cows off it.
Quite
Well,
nice.
if you buy a machine like that there, you want to work it to its maximum anyway.
Absolutely, yeah.
We made the investment, so why not work it to its maximum?
But I mean, what do you see as the future? Are you what are you hoping for more robots?
I
or
know
are you-
what David says the future. Yes, I suppose the future does hold me. Yes, in an ideal world, we'd love a couple more robots and leave the parlour, but that.
No future in the next 5 years, like, I'd like to try and maybe get something started.
Yeah.
Our young stock facilities aren't great. We keep all the young stock off farm and across the road in another farm. Really need to do the same again and bring our young stock up into our milking partnership. And that was maybe for the long term.
And so, is there anything else that you should summarise it up with, or what would be your concluding remarks on it?
Die well,
I suppose.
Is there anything
Is there anything you
would
would change, or anything you would do different, or?
Robot works very well. The other good factor in the machine, and I was surprised about it because I was sceptical about David was the one place for it was Sam Hayden, and Sam Hayden has been tremendous. I cannot believe it's as good as what it is. And
There's really nothing you would change here, really. I suppose it's
no,
just do the same again Norway then.
yes, ventilation's good. No.
Yeah, it's a fantastic change, fantastic setup, fantastic management, fantastic cows. I think just everything is really top class here. So it's a credit to yourselves. And look, we'd like to thank you for allowing us to come along and
pleasure.
do a virtual open day essentially. it's a lot easier than a real one, so it is, because it's only just a few of us here filming.
If it was the real one, I would not be on camera talking.
Yeah, that's it. So look, thank you ever so much for having us here, and well done on everything that you're doing.
Lovely, thank you very much.
Thanks.